What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful, delicious, crispy skin, juicy, amazing Wagyu beef tallow deep fried turkey with some corn pudding, the best gravy the world has ever seen, some homemade cranberry sauce, gotta have some mashed potatoes, and some beautiful homemade dinner rolls. Coming up! This is a turkey! And before we go cutting this open, we're gonna do a bit of a water displacement test real quick. So this is my intended frying situation for a couple days from now. So what I'm gonna do is quite simply drop this bird right on in here, packaging and all. And then I'm gonna fill this up with water. And once fully submerged, I can now take the turkey out, and the water level now gives me a perfect approximation of how much oil I'm gonna need, which for me is exactly to the max fill line. Very convenient, but I'm gonna take a picture of this just in case, because the last thing we want is our turkey to go in there and have an oil overflow that'll ignite and burn down the whole neighborhood. I'm doing this in a bucket because there's always a whole bunch of extra moisture in these things, especially because this was a frozen turkey that I bought a good 3-4 days ago. It's been thawing out in my fridge, and oftentimes there's ice in there that will melt down and make a mess of things. As we can see, got all the goodies on the inside. Pat it dry. And this is just a pretty typical natural turkey. Picked it up at my local H-E-B. But this is about a 14-pound bird. I'm gonna take out this little nipple doodad here. Also gonna take off this little thing on the back side. I think we got something else in here. Oh, how you doing? Set that aside. And as is the case with most styles of cooking turkey, we really wanna make sure we get a crispy skin. So that's why I'm going pretty heavy with making sure that this thing is, in fact, patted dry. And unlike previous years, we are not gonna spatchcock this turkey, but we are in fact going to give it the good old dry brine, which is fancy speak for we're going to hit this with a whole bunch of kosher salt all over the skin. And you can do this anywhere from a few hours to a few days in advance, which is going to obviously season the meat perfectly throughout, but it's also going to be uncovered in the fridge, meaning the salt is going to help dry out the exterior, which is going to give us some extra crispy skin by the time we throw this into the oil. And again, I never pay any attention to if this is pre-brined. I know a lot of them come that way, but I've never had any problem with throwing them in a brine or doing a dry brine because it's a big bird. It can take a lot of salt. Looking good to me. So now onto a wire rack this goes. I'm gonna go ahead and tuck these wing tips back because, you know, I'm not a savage. There we go. That's looking beautiful already. So into my fridge this goes on this wire rack until it's time to fry it off. Now, seeing how we're frying this turkey, we need to get some smoke elements into this dish. And just like every year previous, you know I'm making a turkey stock for an absolutely fantastic, smoky turkey gravy. Let's fire up the pit. Oh, just stepped in dog poop. Even after all these years, I'm still thankful for that pesky little snake in my boot. We're going on with a whole bunch of turkey and chicken bones and all sorts of things today. These are some turkey necks I just picked up from the grocery store and also super cheap. Here's the neck. Here's all the hearts and livers and whatnot from that very same turkey. Also got a couple of chicken carcasses I've saved up over the year. Chicken feet. Yeah, gnarly, I know. But they're full of skin, fat, and collagen, which will turn into gelatin, which is what makes our homemade stocks so much better than everything else. Just don't let your mom see this stage. Because at the end of the day, once all this cooks down, we're gonna get some beautiful, smoky, roasty flavor on there. And that's what's gonna give you that luxurious, rich mouthfeel that you're never gonna get out of anything from a carton. This is about $12 worth of bones that you're looking at here. And we're gonna smoke them off at about 300 to 400 degrees for the next hour or so. And just a few hours later, this stuff is looking beautiful. We got some nice smoky color on there. Boop. We're also gonna go in with some fresh veg in the form of a yellow onion. 2 of those actually. Got a nice head of celery here. And some carrots as well. In they go. And then of course we top this off with a whole bunch of water. And once up to a gentle simmer, we're gonna let this thing bubble away just like this for the next 4 to 15 hours. Been about 16 hours on this stock here. And to be completely honest, I did not mean to let it go this long, but it's been raining sideways for the last few hours, so just now getting to it. Just trying to get out all the solids. All these bones have given us everything they've got. Oh yeah. So we're gonna reduce this down a little bit. A lot easier to do without the bones and veg in there because we don't have to worry about them burning on the bottom. Let this cook away for the next few hours. Boil away, boil away, boil away. And just like that, after a nice long reduction, we are left with this beautiful, thick, dark, super gelatinous turkey stock, turkey demi, whatever you want to call it. And this entire pot, all that just reduced down to about 2 quarts of nothing but pure flavor. So good, nice and smoky. Turkey day is finally upon us, folks. And as you can see, after 2 days of dry brining, this bird is looking great. No salt to be seen anywhere, which means we know it went into the meat. The skin is nice and dry, meaning we're gonna get the crispiest skin possible. But the beauty of frying a turkey is that it only takes about 45 minutes to cook, which means we've got some time to kill. So let's bust out a couple of sides. Starting with some fluffy dinner rolls. Into the mixer we're going with some warm milk, some active dry yeast, and our sugar. Followed by our eggs, some all-purpose flour, some kosher salt, dough conditioner, and some milk powder. It's also gonna help with the texture and add some wonderful flavor. Knead this till it all comes together. In we go with our softened butter. Let this knead for about 5 to 7 minutes. Oh, beautiful. We should be left with a beautiful, smooth, supple dough ball. Into a greased bowl this goes. 2, double in size for the next hour, 2 hour and 1/2. Which gives us plenty of time to knock out a quick cranberry sauce. So into this pot here, I'm going in with 1 bag of some fresh cranberries, as well as a cup of some white sugar. And we're gonna let this heat, let that sugar melt, let these cranberries start to pop and cook down a little bit. And while this cooks down, we can start throwing in everything else, including a cinnamon stick, a couple of star anise, some orange zest. I'm also gonna grate in some fresh ginger, and to add some liquid to help this cook down, orange juice as well as a shot of bourbon, because, you know, why not? And a little pinch of salt. Just gonna bring this up to a simmer, being sure to stir it every now and then so none of the sugars burn on the bottom, and just let it reduce down until it becomes a beautiful, nice, thick cranberry sauce. Probably about 10 minutes. And just like that, this stuff has thickened up very nicely. So we're gonna go through and pull out the cinnamon stick and those pesky little star anise if we can find them. And at this point, you could totally be done, but as you can see, we've still got some chunky berries in there. So if you wanna go full cranberry jelly effect, just bust out the old immersion blender. And just like that, our beautiful cranberry sauce is done. And of course, be sure to taste it and adjust for sweetness, saltiness, and all that good stuff. So beautiful. Next up, we're gonna bust out a real quick herb butter, which we're gonna use on a lot of different things. And we're just gonna gently melt that down. As this melts down, we're gonna go ahead and scoop off all the white foam on top because we're making a clarified butter. And if you wanna go the extra mile, you just pour this through some cheesecloth. But if you don't wanna use the cheesecloth, as you can see, it's pretty easy to see how it separates. So just leave all that white stuff in there. And now that we have removed all of the milk solids out of this butter, it means we can get it to super high temperatures without it turning into brown butter or burning, which will come in handy down the line. But first, we need to infuse this butter with some flavor. So, in we go with some garlic, as well as some sage, some thyme, and a whole bunch of rosemary. But we're gonna just let these fry away for a little bit, giving us a beautiful herb-infused butter. I'm gonna send it back through this strainer here, and we'll be left with some beautiful, herbaceous, garlicky, clarified butter. Next up, we're gonna bust out some quick mashed potatoes, because you gotta have mashed potatoes with your turkey. Got some Yukon Golds here. I was gonna peel them, but you know what? I didn't really feel like it, so we're just gonna boil these off. And I'm not sure if this will do anything, but I'm gonna throw a couple of sprigs of rosemary in there too. After our potatoes are fully cooked and probing, nice and tender, ooh, out they come. And through a potato ricer they go for that absolutely perfect, fluffy mashed potato consistency. And one of the benefits to these is that all the skins are left behind. I'm also gonna send through these. These are the garlics that I confit in that butter when making the herb butter, so might as well send those through too. But of course we need to season this up. I'm gonna start out with some of this stuff. This is the milk solids that we skimmed off that butter. I think that'll add some wonderful flavor. Going with a little white pepper as well. And of course, some cream that I heated up. Not gonna lie, I threw all of that in there, and it really is the perfect thing for mashed potatoes, you know? It's buttery, it's creamy, and it's salty. And I must say, these are tasting so good. The rosemary definitely comes through. Beautiful. Now that our dough has doubled in size, out it comes. And you can make your dinner rolls whatever size you like. I'm shooting for around 50 grams a piece. And then we're just gonna tuck all the seams to the underside and give it the old roly-poly. Into a nice greased high rim baking dish we go. Looking good to me. After a nice plump rise, I hit these with a bit of an egg wash, and now into a 350-degree oven they go for the next 30 minutes. Looking so beautiful and fresh out of the oven. I'm gonna hit these with some of our beautiful garlicky herb butter that we made earlier. God, it smells so good. We're gonna let these cool down. And our last side dish of the day is really quick corn pudding. Start out with a splash of some milk, as well as 6 eggs, some all-purpose flour, some baking powder, and some kosher salt. And give that a quick little blend. Next up, we're going in with a whole bunch of corn. It's corn! And top that with some maple syrup. And get it all blended. And while this blends, I'm gonna start drizzling in our heavy cream. And lastly, we're gonna drizzle in about a stick's worth of our beautiful herbed butter. And then into a generously buttered little baking dish here, we're gonna go in with our beautiful batter. Nothing wrong with that, folks. And lastly, as an optional garnish, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of whole corn right on top, as well as some jalapeno chunks. Beautiful. Now into a 350-degree oven this goes for the next hour or so, or until it's completely cooked and a toothpick pulls out nice and clean. And finally, at long last, it is time to deep fry our turkey. That's right, we're frying in Wagyu beef tallow because, you know, someone has to do it. I do not recommend doing this at home. It is quite an expensive way to cook a turkey, but it needs to be done for science. You know, it's a tough job, folks. Sometimes you gotta do things like this. But the world needs to know, what would a turkey deep fried in Wagyu beef tallow taste like? And you know, if I'm the one that has to do it, so be it. And of course, major shout out to my friends at South Chicago Packing, the best beef tallow in the game. If you haven't tried this stuff yet, you definitely gotta check it out. This is a turkey fryer, picked it up on Amazon. Ooh, but yeah, pretty basic setup. Nice big deep pot, propane burner. It's time to get this oil hot. This is so ridiculous. Woo-hoo-hoo. Got this little doohickey, came with it, the old turkey stand. We're gonna just shove it right up the old dumper. Whoop. Position these legs so it's sitting. Perfect. Nothing to it, folks. Now for this bird, I'm not gonna add anything else to it. I really thought about putting an herb butter underneath the skin or putting a nice rub on the outside or some herbs or something to add some more flavor, but we're going into 350-degree beef tallow. And any herbs or spices just gonna fry up and probably burn. Definitely wanna stay away from rubs with sugar in it because at the end of the day, we just want some really nice juicy meat and some crispy skin. So we're going in just like this, and then later on we're gonna top it with that herb butter, which is gonna add a lot more flavor. Oil is up to temp, so first thing I'm gonna do is kill the flames. That way if we do have an overflow, we're not gonna burn the house down. Right about 375, a little hotter than I wanna be because this turkey is quite cold. In we go. Ooh-hoo. Beautiful, easy as that. Immediately drop down to about 345. So now it's time to light it back up. Oh, this is gonna take about 3 to 4 minutes per pound, which puts us right around the 45 to an hour mark, which gives us plenty of time to make a gravy. And for those of you wondering how much beef fat this took, it took a little over 10 jugs of Wagyu beef fat to fully deep fry this turkey. And to reiterate, I wouldn't or couldn't have done this without my friends from South Chicago Packing. So big shout out to them. If you wanna get your hands on some beef tallow, I'll have a link in the description box of this video. And before you go down into the comments yelling at me saying this is an expensive and impractical way to cook a turkey, I fully agree and I'm fully aware of that. But you gotta remember, this is a YouTube holiday special. So just relax and know that every technique I've talked about will work with peanut oil or canola oil or anything else. But that being said, it's time to make some gravy. Super simple gravy, folks. Going in with some of our herb butter from earlier. And of course, some flour to create a nice roux. Just gonna cook this down for a little bit. By the way, look how thick this stock came out to be. It holds a spoon. And once that roux has cooked down a little bit, in we start going with some of our turkey jello here. And once that is nicely reduced down and nice and thick, our beautiful, super velvety, gelatinous turkey demi gravy is done. Here we are about 45 minutes later. Beautiful golden brown turkey. Super easy cook. Probably the easiest turkey cook I've ever done. But just look at the color on that thing. Oh, it is phenomenal. Quick temp check. Perfect. Coming out to rest. Beautiful corn pudding. It's like a corn custard. Oh, so light. Beautiful. Have you ever seen any better looking dinner rolls than this, folks? I mean, come on. Ooh, so squishy. Smelling so good. Ooh, so thick. Love it. And of course, the crown jewel, the deep fried, super crispy turkey. I mean, just look at this thing. It's absolutely beautiful and, oh. It's so crispy. I let this thing rest for the last 20-30 minutes or so to carry over and then cool down a little bit. So as per usual, I'm gonna finish this off with some very hot herb butter to not only warm it up, but also add some more flavor before we carve this thing up. And this is why we made so much herb butter, folks. Oh, just gonna bathe it. I mean, would you just look at it, folks? Beautiful, crispy skin, fluffy homemade rolls. This beautiful corn custard pudding situation. The best gravy, I'm telling you. I've been drinking it. Wonderful cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes. Oh, I'm ready to dive on in. Ooh. Oh, it's so thick. This is the best bite, honestly. The gravy and the mashed potatoes. Am I right, folks? Ooh. Good Lord. I'm going back in. That is just absurd. So creamy. It's just the mouthfeel from the super gelatinous stock. It is unbeatable. Look the way it just clings to the taters. Corn pudding. Ooh. I'm telling you, this stuff is ridiculous. It's like a quiche meets a souffle full of corn flavor. So sweet. And I'm sure it goes great with gravy. But alas, let's see how this beast came out, shall we? Ooh, how you doing? It's so crunchy. What's this? Just gonna go at it, folks. Yes, please. Nothing wrong with that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. It tastes like Popeye's chicken. That's crazy. That is out of this world. If you've ever complained about turkey not having any flavor, you probably haven't deep fried it in Wagyu beef tallow yet. It's so good. Crispy skin, perfectly cooked. Love it. What's this? I love a fried turkey. I'm telling you, this is my first time ever frying a turkey, and right off the bat, very impressed. Got the old Pope's nose here. Dip that in a little gravy, take a bite. Wow. That might be the best bite of the whole year right there. Some crispy neck skin. Little gravy dip on that. Don't mind if I do. Shatteringly crisp. All right, let's just see if we can get one of these breasts off, shall we? That's unbelievable. Ooh, feeling nice and juicy. Beautiful, tender, juicy white meat, crispy skin on the outside, just kind of pulls right apart. Don't mind if I do. That is spectacular. Oh. Love it. Gotta say, I'm really glad that that firmed up the way it did. It looks just like the canned stuff, which is traditional. Nice and red. Love it. Well, that just immediately went into the category of things that are way better made from scratch than store-bought. Ooh, so good. Got a little bourbon vibe to it. Highly recommend. The beef fat just adds that extra richness and flavor that the turkey is lacking. And of course, can't forget about these beautiful rolls, right? That's just for sopping up the gravy, making yourself little mini sandos. Oh, top notch. Probably the prettiest thing I've baked on the channel is these buns. Looks so profesh. Love it. All right, the takeaway from Chuds Giving 2022 has got to be, number one, the gravy. You need to make this stock. You can do it days in advance. And it's my number one tip to upgrade any Thanksgiving. Perfectly smoky, perfectly seasoned, and it's got that velvety mouthfeel that you're not gonna get from anything out of a carton. This stuff can change lives. Number two would be this corn pudding. This is an adaptation of Chef John's recipe, and quite honestly, it's blowing my mind. It's so light and fluffy, almost like a souffle. It's sweet, it's savory, it's perfect. You could eat this as a dessert. You could eat this with ice cream. You could eat this with gravy. It is the ultimate Thanksgiving side, and I will be making this every year from here on out. Number three, cranberry sauce. I know not everybody's a fan, but if you make it yourself, it comes together in like 20 minutes. Very tasty stuff. And finally, we got the deep fried bird. It's so crispy. It's so rich. It's also just so beautiful. You don't need to spatchcock it. You don't need to do anything except hit it with some salt, drop it in some oil, although I do love a smoked bird. But without further ado, folks, I think we all know what time it is. And we're gonna give you a nice dollop of this beautiful gravy, all right? All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make an absolutely incredible Wagyu beef tallow deep fried turkey with some amazing side dishes, an amazing gravy, some good rolls, and other stuff. I don't know, the tryptophan is starting to get to me. I'm ready to go to bed. But that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give any of these recipes a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace!